Good morning. My name is Nube Brown. I work with California Prison Focus and facilitate a program there called Liberate the Caged Voices. I also host a radio program on KPOO San Francisco 89.5 Prison Focus Radio, which I do every Thursday at 11 a.m. But the reason I'm here this morning is because I would like to read a piece on behalf of my loved one, Malik Washington, who will be becoming the editor of the San Francisco Bayview National Black newspaper as soon as he returns to us September 3rd. But before I do that, I do want to thank all of you for all of your contributions, all the support that you've been giving to the San Francisco Bayview newspaper through the GoFundMe page, all of your wonderful, loving, beautiful comments, really showing your support and how much you care about not only making sure that the SF Bayview survives, but also how important it is for the community. So again, I just really want to thank all of you, and please continue to contribute if you can. Contributing is also by means of letting other people know what the SF Bayview means to you, what you feel it means to the community on both sides of the wall, because that's one thing that's so important, is that Malik is going to be coming to us after serving 13 years in a state prison in Texas. So his voice and the voices of others that he will be leaving behind are so important to this movement for the abolition. We're really looking for moving. We're in a movement of change, and we need the voices from inside as much as we need the voices from the community. So again, I want to just give a big thanks to all of you on behalf of the San Francisco Bayview newspaper and of course Malik. And I'm going to go ahead and read this most recent piece from him now. So here we go. Reopening Schools Disproportionately Impacts Single Black Moms by Keith Malik Washington, Assistant Editor, San Francisco Bayview National Black Newspaper. A friend from Sacramento, California, recently asked me about my thoughts on whether schools should reopen. In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, I firmly believe that we must lean towards science and empirical data when making the decision to reopen schools. There should be a different decision depending on the geographical area you live in. The concrete conditions on the ground should dictate our response. Betsy DeVos, who is the current Secretary of Education in Washington, D.C., is in lockstep with the U.S. President Donald J. Trump on the school issue. The economy and this entire get back to work now strategy has been put forth before health, safety, and welfare of our children, our teachers, and our most vulnerable family members. In regard to reopening schools in the United States, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. We will have to remain flexible and create innovative ways to teach our children. Personally, I like the model, which sets forth a combination of virtual learning coupled with in-school learning. COVID-19 testing must be a part of our reopening strategy. However, I have a friend in the Sacramento area who works in the field of education. They raised a good point. Communities of color are being disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. So how do we adjust our response so all children benefit and are reintegrated into the reopening process? Making Wi-Fi available to communities of color, ensuring that all children have tablets and laptops, is a step in the right direction. However, I have another issue that I'd like all of you to consider. Sisters and brothers, today is July 27th, 2020. Many people do not know if the U.S. Senate or the White House is going to extend the extra $600 that has been included in the U.S. citizens' unemployment checks. Without this added $600, hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of Americans will be evicted from their homes and apartments. Mass evictions are a reality. The number one demographic group that will be vulnerable from being affected by these mass evictions are lower income Black single moms. Yes, Black single moms are one of the most vulnerable groups in the United States. Who in the Trump administration has a vested interest in ensuring that single Black mothers survive this pandemic? I want to know if Val Demings, Keisha Lance Bottoms, Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, or Elizabeth Warren can hear my voice. Before we tackle the issue of reopening schools, we have to make absolutely sure our children and our moms have a roof over their heads. This issue of reopening schools is much more complex than it appears. Before I end this piece, I want to remind all of you that in order to make it through this pandemic successfully, we must have principled leadership in Washington, D.C., leaders who have a heart and mind for the people. We don't have that right now. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry. Some of my friends, allies, and supporters may say, Malik, we do not need more leaders or masters in Washington, D.C. My response is this. I agree that the current system has failed us. Nevertheless, in order to address these failures, I have a very serious question that I'd like all of you to reflect upon. Will you open your home or your apartment to a single mom with children? There is going to have to be a paradigm shift in how we visualize our new society. This question that I have posed is going to have to be on many people's hearts and minds. Soon there will be an explosion of homeless people on the streets of America. If this GOP-led U.S. Senate doesn't act intelligently, there could be dire consequences. Austerity is not the answer. Compassion and empathy is. Love one another and think critically about what is happening in America. Dare to struggle. Dare to win. All power to the people. And I will be putting Malik's bio onto the GoFundMe page when I make this update. But here's what he has to say in his bio. Keith Malik Washington is assistant editor of the San Francisco Bayview National Black newspaper. Malik is studying and preparing to serve as editor of the Bayview after his release in September 2020. He is also co-founder and chief spokesperson for the End Prison Slavery movement, a member of IWOC, a strong supporter and ally of Oakland Abolition and Solidarity, as well as an activist in the Fight Toxic Prisons campaign and Liberate the Caged Voices. Visit his website at comrademalik.com. Send our brother some love and light. He's only going to be in at this address that I'm about to give you until September 3rd. So it's Keith Malik Washington. His register number is 344-81037, USP Pollock, P.O. Box 2099, Pollock, Louisiana 71467.